Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Check it out. We have the Air 3S in the house today. We're going to do a full series review on the brand new Air 3S from DJI. This is one of their most popular types of drones. I do have an Air 3 right here. We're going to also compare it. Once we get this out of the box, we'll compare it to that Air 3, see what some of the differences are. So this should be fun. It's going to be an entire series. This is going to be the first in the series, the unboxing, setup, updating. The rest of the videos in the series are going to be a full-on flight test. We're going to do a range test and possibly some other videos. And I've got a treat for you guys. I have a whole brand new Fly More combo that you guys can win. I'm having a drawing for this guy. It's going to be down in the description down below. So if you guys want to enter to win your own brand new DJI Air 3S, go ahead and check down there below and make sure you enter the drawing because one of you are going to win this guy. Anyhow, guys, let's get started. Let's open this bad boy up and see what it's all about. First time ever. Let's see what this little bad boy is all about. Great thing about the Air 3S is it's not a huge drone, but they're packing some incredible tech. Check it out. That is a Giganto camera, and that's how it looks folded up. Anywho, let's take this out. Maybe we'll see how the bag as well differs from the first Fly More combo. I do have that over there as well. We can compare. Awesome. Air 3 bag right here on the left, Air 3S on the right. It looks like exactly the same bag. We even got that orange stitching on the front. They're just kind of magnetic clip overs. Exactly the same on the top, so I'm not seeing any difference whatsoever. Everything is exactly the same. One of my complaints on the first Air 3 bag was there was no side pockets here. Those were so nice on some of the other drones because you could just like stuff some other stuff in there in case you needed some more room, but they're going with the exact same bag, exact same design, nothing different whatsoever on the outside. But let's see what's on the inside. 1 foot USB-C to C cable, sticker pack, quick start guide, safety guidelines, accessory use guide, drones information and notices. Not really getting a full-on manual. This is just kind of a fold-out guide here, so you'll have to go online or watch videos like this to really get in-depth on how to operate this thing. Nothing super in-depth here, but that's kind of all they're including now for instructions. Okay guys, let's see what else we have in the bag here. The drone itself. Let's just pull this bad boy out. The plastic seems to have gotten thicker. My first time seeing this for real. Here we go. Wow, look at this thing. As expected, just a super sleek looking drone. This camera is a honking camera. Look at that thing just hanging off the bottom there. Unbelievable. The new Air 3S on the right and the old Air 3 on the left. Right off the bat, we can see a huge bulge here, which is the main difference. Top looks exactly the same, rear looks exactly the same. The older Air 3 has kind of like more of a sharp-edged little scoop here on the back, and the Air 3S has a little bit more of an indented kind of air scoop here. That's probably, they probably kind of reshaped that a little bit for more flying efficiency. Now, instead of a sticker on the Air 3, they actually have kind of engraved in the actual plastic. Sensors exactly the same looking. All the air vents exactly the same. All the screws and everything exactly the same. This is just an incremental upgrade from the Air 3. So we're not going to see huge differences at all. Let's take a look at the camera, see if anything differs here as far as the camera cover. So a nice smoky camera guard, easy to take off. That's new. Right off the bat, guys, check that out. Air 3 on the left, Air 3S on the right. Look at that camera. It's almost like it has the Mavic 3 camera on there. That's amazing. And big difference here in the front is the way the front is shaped with this sensor here. It's got another sensor on the front. Mini cameras for obstacle avoidance and stuff, they're oriented just a little bit different. The Air 3S has a little bit of a change in the nose. Pretty interesting. Air 3 on the left kind of had the gimbal hanging out more, and it was kind of a lower profile nose. This one's a little wider this way, but a little narrower from right to left. Just the nose and the camera look like that's the only difference I'm seeing. Speaking of the camera, let's take a really close-up look at this bad boy. This is just gigantic. Oh my gosh. There is a little camera holder. I'm going to take this out, just a foam piece for shipping. And that's really all the stickers I'm seeing. There's usually like a bunch of stickers on here you have to peel off. So quite incredible how on this small little, almost handheld drone, they are putting this Mac Daddy gigantic egg looking camera on here, cooling fins all the way around, so you know this thing's going to be powerful. This should have a 1-inch sensor in this big boy. They're kind of giving us Mavic 3 quality cameras now. Probably expect soon for the Mavic 3 series to get upgrade as well. Same thing, so you can't unfold the rear first, you have to unfold the front first, so no differences there. So front, then the rear legs just come down like this. I'm really trying to look for any other types of differences, and I can't find anything except for the camera and that front nose. The motors are exactly the same as well, no difference in there. What we need to do is compare the batteries. So Air 3S here, Air 3. Looks like the Air 3S battery has a little bit higher voltage. Max charge is 17.2, and then on the Air 3, it was 17. Battery capacity is just a tad bigger. Air 3S at 4,276 mAh with that little bit higher voltage. And for the last generation Air 3, we've got 4241 mAh, and it just has a 17 volt max. 30 some odd higher mAh on the new Air 3S battery. And I'd imagine that is probably just to compensate for the bigger camera and this sensor, whatever this is on the front, so they can have just about the same flight time but with more gear. Quite impressive, guys. Gonna set that 3S on the side there. Let's see what else is in the bag and if the insides of the bags are also any different. Big old bag of propellers. And this is one of the great things when you get the Flymore combos, is you get a whole bunch of propellers, you get a great carry bag, and you get that multi-charger with multi-battery. So you really do save quite a bit of money. If you're kind of all in and you want this drone to be your main drone or one of your main drones, you might as well get the Flymore combo. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's one whole set. 5, 6, 7, 8. 2 whole sets plus 2 extras. So 2.5 sets of propellers. This might be something new they're including. I haven't seen this before. Filter kit. Nice. ND filter kit, guys, with the new Air 3S. And look at that. They're kind of gold reflective filters. That's cool. I haven't seen that before. ND8, 32, and 128. Different effects for filming, and also if it's a sunny day or a dark day, you would put those on and use them. It's going to take a little bit of know-how how to use these filters, but that's pretty awesome that we're getting that entire filter kit in the 3S combo. Okay, guys, what else is in here? It might be a good idea to leave that inner foam in there to protect your drone. Anyway, other things. Here is the RC2 controller. This should be still using the same OcuSync 4 technology. Exactly the same controller as the other one. They're just kind of recycling this for the Air 3S. The DJI RC2, you got your sticks over here you pull out. You can screw them on. I'm not going to go too much into this because it's exactly the same thing. This isn't really anything new here. These controllers are great because you can use them across a bunch of different crafts. A lot of their new crafts out now. If they're doing any upgrades, it's going to be partially behind the scenes with some updates. So we're not going to see anything immediately there. Let's check out the pretty much last thing in the bag. This guy here is the big ol' honkin' multi-charger. Let's see if there's any differences in this from the original. So it looks to me like it's exactly the same thing. I don't want to mix up these batteries because remember, these batteries are just a tad different. They are looking like they're going to work between each Air. So Air 3 and Air 3S, universal battery use, but remember the Air 3S has just a tad more capacity and a little bit higher voltage. Yeah, exactly the same. Usually they don't power up on until the first charge, but these ones are. We can see how 2 of them are low, that one's really low. But these have that consolidation feature where if you're out in the field, it should be able to consolidate. All the charge will go to 1 to get you 1 battery in the field that has a higher capacity. Let's see if that works. Click and hold, kind of like you would power on a drone. Yeah, so there we go. Took a little while, but that one on the left is now being charged. Everything will eventually push into this one to get this one the most charged, and then these ones will just stop. So that's a great feature. I'm glad DJI did that, and this is no different. This one's working. If you want to switch back to regular charge mode, you just hold this in till the light turns yellow. Inside the bag, I'm looking for any differences whatsoever, and these two bags look exactly. This bag I had taken out that extra foam packing. I'll probably leave it in with this one since this one has just an immaculate, massive camera. I want to protect that. So guys, some of you may be a little bit disappointed that literally the only cable we get in the package is this USB C-to-C, about 1.5 foot cable. That's kind of what DJI is doing now. In order to get fast charging on this, you're gonna kind of have a charger that does a higher wattage, because this plugs straight into a low wattage USB source is just going to take forever to charge. I guess what they're banking on is phones usually have kind of a high speed USB-C charger. If you don't have one of those, you're going to have to buy an adapter for this. DJI also has their high speed 100 watt or so charger, so that might be something to invest in, but you're going to have to buy that extra. I really can't see how expensive that would be for them just to put maybe another cable in there so you can charge both at the same time. That's how it looks in a nutshell. Let me go ahead and charge all this stuff up. I'll let you know how long it took. Probably going to use that DJI 100 watt charger because I already have that. Then we'll start up the screen and just see if it needs any updates, see if there's any differences on the app, and just check that out before we wrap this up. Here is the fast charger from DJI. This is that 100 watt charger. This is something you're probably going to want to invest in if you're buying these types of drones. It has two USB-C outputs there, getting a rapid charge with the main charger, and it's also able to rapid charge the controller at the same time. Anytime you get that fast blink, that's when it is a fast charge. If you do try to plug these things into a normal USB, these are going to take forever. It's going to take hours and hours. So always recommended just to get one of these fast chargers. That way, anything you have that's DJI, you know it will be compatible. I've got this guy here. This came with my phone. This is a rapid charger around 100 watts, but this isn't compatible with these guys. Like, they won't fast charge this fast with my regular phone charger. So something with the software, something with DJI's proprietary software, sometimes it just will not work with other types of chargers. Even with that high speed 100 watt charger, that took exactly about 50 minutes for the battery and then another 5 minutes for the controller. The next battery is charging, so I'd expect that maybe to take a little less time since it's not trying to charge both. Anyway, let's set this thing up real quick. We have the sticks back here in that silicone, and we're just gonna go ahead and screw these on. This is something you do before you fly, maybe not super necessary for an unboxing. Picture record button. We have our little rollers here, C1 and C2 button on the bottom there for shortcuts, and then we have our power and our home and pause button, and then our cinema, normal, and sport mode button here. Anyway, putting in the battery, just getting it in the right direction. Probably wondering what this thing is on the front. That little portion there, that's actually a LiDAR sensor. So some of the improvements on the Air 3S are it has a low light LiDAR sensor. So even in nighttime, this is going to detect obstacles in front of it. I'll have it linked, pop up here, and also linked in the description. I was trying to do a home inspection video with the Mini 4 Pro, and I actually crashed into the wall because these sensors, some of them have a hard time seeing plain flat surfaces, and this is supposed to mitigate that, where it will not crash into a hard to see surface that these cameras have a hard time detecting. So that LiDAR on the front is a brand new feature, pretty awesome. Really anxious to see that, and we're going to see that in the flight tests. Also, another big feature is the Air 3S has a much lower light sensitivity for obstacle avoidance in general. So you're going to be able to do nighttime return to home, and it will detect obstacles even in low light if you're flying around. Before, they used to tell you on the screen and notify on a low light situation that they would shut off. So we're going to test that too in a low light flying situation in the flight test to see if that actually works and how low of a light we can be flying in while these obstacle detection features still work on the whole 360 obstacle avoidance. There is one more feature that I cannot really talk about. When you're returning home, you know how it usually uses GPS satellites and its point of launch that it kind of logs? There's actually a new feature that is different. More on that when DJI decides to talk about that. That'll probably be by the flight test. So stay tuned and make sure you keep an eye on this series so you know all these new features and how they work. Okay guys, so let's give this drone its first power up, seeing if we can do any updates. So just clicking, then clicking and holding. Keep an eye on that camera to really see how it initially turns on. Just a quick twist. Looks like that's all it needs to do. Turning on our controller, same type of press and hold. Okay guys, so something you're gonna have to do, everybody's gonna have to do on the initial startup is you're gonna have to agree to terms, make sure you put in what country you're in, and you're gonna have to log into some kind of Wi-Fi network to get everything working and log into your account. Cool, we are connected. We'll hit next. Pick your time zone. Definitely not in Beijing. We're in Mountain Time where I'm at. And next. Giving us a little notification, make sure that's correct. Otherwise it might have a problem with activation. All right, so here's where you're gonna have to log in. If you don't have an account, you're going to need to create an account. While I'm doing this, I'm hearing the fan on the Air 3S kick on. Remember, this thing has a lot of crazy tech on it. It's gonna need to cool itself. And there's that fan noise. Hopefully you can hear that. Next up is activate. So right here, it's just gonna basically link this device to your account. And let's get started with a guide. This is just a basic guide on how to use the controller. You can skip it if you want. I'm just gonna swipe through really quick. If you guys have never seen this before, many of you have, you can fast forward this, but a lot of you this might be your first drone. And you can just check out what all the buttons do, customize those C1 and C2, information on the lighting, and how to properly hold the controller. Remember, you always want the flat part of this to be perpendicular to your drone. You want that facing your drone. All right, looks like we're set up there. Let's go to DJI Fly. Just initializing real quick. There you go. Since this is the first time I've ever used this, you get this introductory screen with a little DJI video. Let's skip it up here at the top. The only thing you need to mandatorily authorize is approximate location info. I'm going to put them on just so I can update and have everything correct. Improvement project, you don't have to do that, but you can if you want. And here we go. Agree to activate. Let's activate it. Just kind of a one-time setup, guys. So kind of the same as other DJI drones, but if you know how to do this, you could skip through it. DJI Carry Fresh. This is that thing where you can pay a little extra. You get 2 replacements, free 2-way shipping, water damage coverage, and flyaway coverage. I believe it's around $50. You've got 48 hours to activate that after you activate the drone. So from here on out, I've got 48 hours if I want to go ahead and get this paid kind of insurance coverage. So I'm going to skip that. I'm not going to get it on here and confirm. All right, so we already have a new firmware available for this. Interesting. So, you know, this is the pre-release right now. So these are the updates I'm getting. Let's go ahead and click on the update and make sure everything is going to work. I always want to do these updates so you can get the latest information and software, firmware, just so everything's going to operate, especially taking care of this new LiDAR and low light sensing, obstacle avoidance, and this new camera on the Air 3S. Main features here for this new drone. While we're updating here, look at that screen so you can see how much reflection there was there. I'd really like to see DJI just kind of have a matte finish screen. There are a couple of aftermarket things you can get, some screen overlays, right in the mid 40s, and it is now installing. So that's what you can expect. Takes about 40% to download. Some of you may not know this, but this controller does also have a fan in it. There are cooling ports, so this will also turn off and on fan-wise as it needs to. Everything's automatic. They've been improving it over time, but you may experience a little bit of lagginess when this thing gets hot out in the sun. Just had the fan stop and lights are now blinking yellow. Looks, yeah, we're doing a reboot here. Doing a double reboot? Wow, okay. Rebooting for a second time. And this is where you just want to wait. You don't want to hurry things up by turning things off and on, moving the drone, moving anything. That's why you want to make sure you have fully charged batteries on both, so you're not like going into minimum battery when this is still trying to update. Charge everything up, at least one battery and the controller, and let it do its thing. We're at 90%. Drone has rebooted twice, and it's still installing. Looks like everything just shut off on the drone. That's interesting. So that was interesting. That was a double reboot and all power off, and I'm getting nothing from the controller. I usually want to wait for a while. There we go. So didn't touch anything, and literally I was sitting here for a minute with the drone off. And so it's doing something behind the scenes, and that's what you don't want to mess with and screw up, because that will ruin your day with the update. So just let it go, even if it's going to be a couple of minutes of nothing happening. And there we go. We have a check mark and everything is updated. Awesome. Some of them power off when they're done updating. This one hasn't, but it has a little notation here. Go ahead and power it back on if it powers off, so you can continue. Click our X here, and they're gonna eliminate syncing and uploading the data from your flight logs. So if you do have flight logs, you're gonna have to start downloading them before they take that away. Anyways, quick little controller tutorial here. Okay, there's a fly safe update required. I've found that you don't have to do that if you don't want to. Things will still work. Let's go ahead and go fly and see how everything looks. These drones now, they have this, anything over like 249 grams, they have this AirSense sensor in there. They can detect aircraft that are broadcasting, and you can bring your aircraft down if there's an aircraft overhead, and it will notify you. So great thing to have. That's just kind of a safety precaution. I like to have that larger text on screen. It just makes everything a little more visible. As usual, guys, we have our display on our RC. We got those trigger buttons on the top. We can move the gimbal up and down. We can see our focal length here. That's about a foot away from the camera, my hand, and it actually is having trouble focusing on that. It should focus on my shirt really nicely. So remember, this is a high-end camera. Here's our zoom here. So we have two different lenses. We have the 1-inch sensor, I believe that should be on the bottom, and then we have our zoom sensor on the top. So your same stuff that you'd see in the Fly app for other drones as well. Power percentage 90%, flight time remaining once we launch, RC signal from the drone here, maxed out right now. Obstacle avoidance, if that's on or off, it turns on once you launch. How many satellites we have? I'm getting 8 in the house. Not too great, but I do have a metal roof and stucco and all that, so that's reasonable. Waypoint flight. Remember, with these more advanced drones, you've got all this waypoint flight, pre-planned missions you can do, which is pretty darn awesome that DJI has incorporated in their stock software. We have our launch button here. Hold to take off if you wanted to launch that way. You should be able to pull the controls down and in as well. See how that starts the motors up, and then we just can lift off. Don't want to lift off right now, but I do want to shut them off. There we go. We've got our maps over here, so you can click on that. Oh, that's cool. I hadn't seen that before. Swipe left or right to switch among map, altitude indicator, and vision sensor. So we can switch between our compass, our map, and the view of the actual sensing cameras. That's also kind of a newer feature that's been out the last couple of drones. Click on it to enlarge it if we want. So I can't really swipe this left or right. We got to go back in here, and then we can swipe this small screen left or right. I think swiping is a pretty neat idea. Also has that little minimize button there to get that out of the way if you want. So this software has come a very long way. It's getting better and better with each iteration. Clicking on the map here, you can see that we have our full map, and then we can use satellite if we wanted to, get that satellite imagery up. It's going to preload. Then you can get the actual satellite imagery and kind of preload it in your flying area when you're connected to Wi-Fi, and then you can have this up. Unless you want to tether your phone if you're out in the field or something, you can also get this up here. Also have that Find My Drone feature, so if you lose your drone, click on that. Take you to actually the last known location of your drone. Something I do want to see really quick is how this right roller is zooming in. So I'm just pulling this to the right here. So this is basically choosing between the two cameras. The bottom 1X is going to be that 1-inch sensor, and the max zoom is the 2.9 times. It doesn't automatically switch, you see, even if I'm holding it. You kind of point the drone somewhere that we can zoom into a little better. What you're actually going to have to do, guys, is you're going to have to hit this 3 to get to the zoom sensor, adjust your camera, and then we can focus in, and now I'm holding the zoom. Let's see how far in we can go. Just to a couple of these pictures. So a 9 times zoom on that top zoom lens. and then you can kind of click to focus around everywhere. That's what's so cool about these cameras. You can just pick what you want to focus in on. Switch back to that 1-inch sensor camera, that really high quality one. There you go. You have to click on that and get back to it. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on the screen here. It looks like basically the same kind of stuff. I did want to check out the storage of the drone. It's always good to know what it has built in. And check this out, guys. 42.2 gigabytes of usable storage in the drone. Don't even have to put an SD card in. You can if you want to extend that. The slot's right in the back. So lots of usable storage if you forget your micro SD card. So all of our kind of standard settings that we could kind of use for the last drone as well. Aspect ratios. It always defaults at 4:3 for the actual photos. I like to change it to 16:9. This is for still photos right now. Resolution 12 or 50 megapixel. Wow. I usually leave stuff on auto. You know, some of you guys that are really going to buy this for the camera are going to be into all of this manual stuff. So you can go into manual. So it looks to me like those advanced low light features, especially the LiDAR front tracking and the lower light capability of the cameras, is just going to kind of be baked in where you're not going to see any options for it. And that's going to be stuff that we are going to be testing in the flight test, guys. So stay tuned for that stuff. I always do as thorough as possible testing on these guys. This one does seem like it's going to be a pretty good advancement from the Air 3. Main things I'm going to test in these next couple of videos. Flight test. We're going to do an overall flight with it, see how it is. It's probably not going to handle much different than the Air 3, but what it really gets down to is the low light performance of these sensors. That brand new first ever front LiDAR sensor in the front under this cool little visor. Of course, the camera is supposed to be quite a bit better than the Air 3 camera. It's a big honking camera. You would expect it to be quite a bit better if you're going to have that much of a larger surface area and just heavier components. Also, these guys are claiming this is going to fly for 45 minutes on those new batteries. Yes, you can use the old Air 3 batteries and you're probably not going to get quite as much flight time. Remember, those are a little bit lower voltage on the old one and they don't have quite as much capacity. Quite a few new features here. There's one more new feature that DJI has not announced, so stay tuned to the channel. In the flight test, they should have announced that sort of a return to home new technology that they're going to talk about and I'm going to talk about in the next video. So guys, unboxing, setup, updating out of the way. Next video is going to be the flight test, full-on flight test, testing out all these new features. Remember, low light stuff as well. Range test, always got to do a range test, so that's going to be either the third or fourth video. I like to do like real life tracking tests. I have this turn down in my subdivision that all DJI drones have crashed into a tree. So I want to try this one as well, see if maybe that low light sensing can kind of make the difference between crashing and not. Maybe other drones have had a hard time going around that tight corner and they can't see the shading in the tree and they crash into it. Honestly, every other DJI drone has crashed into that tree at that distance, at that speed. So we're going to test this one out too in a designated tracking test video as well. Don't forget, guys, we have the ND filter set. These things look so awesome. So we're going to slap a couple of those on in the flight test, see how those go. Stay tuned and don't forget that you can win this guy right here. This is the one you're going to win. It's brand new in the box. It's an unopened version of the exact same thing you're seeing in this video. Don't forget to enter that drawing because you can win your own DJI Air 3S. That'll be down in the description down below. Anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in and really appreciate you sticking around with me for this video. More to come, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.